Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful day. It is Wednesday and it is the Coffee Stream Wednesdays with Skep edition. And our lovely friend Skep Talk should be joining us soon. And I just figured I'd go ahead and start so that we weren't too late in starting. So, yes, it is Wednesday. And it's actually a very nice day outside. It's very sunny and very warm up where I am. It's a very beautiful day, which I suppose is the silver lining in the dark cloud that is not being subjected to a stay-at-home order. If you know what I mean. Oh, let me fix my microphone. There we go. Um, yeah, our wonderful intrepid premier has enacted a stay-at-home order for 4 weeks because they worked so well the last two times we did those, or three times, whatever. I've lost count now. Um, and we're right now schools are staying open, but see, there's a spring break coming up next week. And I am pretty much expecting that after that April break, they are going to tell us to keep our kids home. Um, so I'm just, and I've titled this stream "Massive Cabin Fever" because we really are creating a society of people with cabin fever. Hello, Mr. Yes. Hello, Wikipedia Snippet. Hello, Becca Fairley. I hope everyone's doing well this fine day. Let's see. I'm just trying to keep an eye out for Skep here because I don't want to miss him and leave him hanging backstage. Yeah, I was because we're and what happens because human beings, being part of the great ape family, are social animals, and what we are doing by isolating or being forced to isolate is creating a group of uh damaged socially people. Schools are evil. Hey TOS, hey Costin. Um so yeah, it's getting to the point where and even people who aren't immersed in the commentary news commentary side of things, people who aren't online all the time consuming and analyzing this stuff are starting to go, okay, enough is enough. And I'm wondering how far the government thinks they can push this. I'm wondering how far the government thinks they can get away with pushing an entire society to isolate themselves from each other, which goes against the very grain of our behavior, our instinct, our evolution. And I don't think the uh, fear of authority is going to trump the need for social interaction with other people other than the four people in your house. I really don't think that's going to work. I really think this is going to be a a massive problem that they cannot control. Oh, you're listening to The Shadow too? I am binge watching or binge listening to The Shadow. I love The Shadow so much. They'll take it just as far as they can until the shooting starts. You're probably not wrong, Duck Dog. This is this is probably what is going to push a type of revolution, because we as a species cannot be isolated. We have to go out, we have to see people, and when it comes to something like this, where yes, it is a thing that exists and it can affect a certain demographic of the population, it is still not comparable to some of the more deadly viral plagues that we have gone through in human history and still come out the other side. And we need to stop being so terrified. And I think a lot of us are not as terrified as we were. Who's your favorite shadow snippet? Orson Welles, Brett Morrison. This is getting out of hand. And quite frankly, this is not going to end well for the for the powers that be. So let's see here. I wonder where Skep is. I hope he's okay. All right. Oh, Pincalo's here. Alec Baldwin. I'm talking about the original Shadow on the radio, not the stupid movie. And he does that to piss me off too. Oh, here he comes. Okay, I have a Polyev video that we will...
No, I genuinely believe Alec Baldwin is the best Shadow. Bite me. Pincalo, yuck. Oh, that's funny. Okay, so I've got a Polyev video that we can start off with. I'm trying to find Mr. Ford's announcement to show you guys, because he is announcing like officially the stay-at-home order today. Okay, let's see. Do. Here is my DM with myself. So this video is called Those Who Take and Those That Make. I wonder what this is going to be about. Whenever we have these hearings, it starts out by saying, I'm going to put it right back to the beginning so we can hear the whole thing, because I haven't heard this video yet either. Let's see. Yes, we are blaming Pincalo for his choice of person to play the Shadow. Absolutely. Okay, let's see here. Come on. All right. Let's get back over here so we can share the screen and also check on if Skep is backstage, because that would be good. Is Skep backstage? No, he's not. I hope he's okay. He was all gung ho for today, so he knows. Okay. Here we go. Those who take and those that make. Let's see what Monsieur Polyev has to say today.
Whenever we have these hearings on any subject, we get 20 or 30 witnesses showing up asking for more money. And we get one witness, usually you or someone like you, representing the 30 plus million Canadians who have to pay for it. So the 30 million plus Canadians who pay the price of programs get one witness, and the comparatively very small group, sometimes representing 10 or 20,000 people, get 20 or 30 witnesses. And it's not just this committee, it's every committee. In fact, it was even worse on the Finance Committee. It reminds me of John Buchanan, who was a Nobel Prize winning economist who invented something called public choice theory, where he pointed out that when governments start to run the economy, the theory is that everything's going to happen in the public interest, but in fact, people seeking profit just do so through the government rather than through the marketplace.
Ding, 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 ding. Oh, look, what's happening now?
And so they show up at committees like this one advocating for their interest group to get a bigger handout from the many millions of people who are too busy working and living their lives to lobby in the other direction.
Yep.
And in the end, the concentrated benefit of a government handout is far more politically powerful than the dispersed cost that everyone must contribute to pay for it. Hence, we have one witness defending the payers. Here, that's you. And throughout this study, we'll have 25 or 30 advocating for more spending. Do you have any suggestions on how we can redress this balance so that the people who pay the bills in this country, the working class folks who put in the hours and earn their wages, and the small business people across the land are not continuously outnumbered by those who want to draw from their pockets?
This is great. You know what? I think Pink Hollow's right. We do need Polyev to stay in this position. Hey, Selecta Boy. Well, if you can get a sure bet, why take chances with the market? Well, that's a good point, Wikipedia snippet. Hey, Ginger Snap.
Well, the first thing I say is you should invite the Canadian Taxpayers Federation to committee more often. But aside from that, I think it's incumbent on the members on the committee and all members of Parliament to remember that fact, to remember that. And I don't want to take anything away from the people who appear at committee. You're all dedicated to your craft, and I'm sure all your reasoning is in earnest, and you believe in what you're saying. But there, as you say, Mr. Polyev, there are millions of Canadians who will never appear before committee. And it's incumbent upon members of Parliament to remember that it should not always be the squeaky wheel that gets the oil.
Right.
This is, like he said, he should envoy the tax chair or committee more often. It is a shame that Trudeau can't answer his own questions, right? Right, Mr. Yes? It's very true. It's very true. And it's very upsetting that we keep, like, you get all this pushback from when you just calmly, like Polyev is doing, point things out. You're some sort of conspiracy nut, or you're, a racist, or a
now it's, you are a COVID denier or an anti-masker or whatever, just because you're asking questions. Like, this is an insane way of thinking. And it's partially because we're all being forced to lock ourselves away, but it's also partly because of this general mental disorder that we've been seeing in the past, I would say close to 10 years now, of do what I say or I will ruin your life. And it's getting like it's coming out, it's starting to happen offline too. And those of us who were saying that it would are now kind of sitting here going, I fucking told you so. Like, you've got people losing their jobs for saying things, or saying, having opinions, or even, there are some companies, I guess, that might be saying you have, if you want to come back to work in the office, you have to get the vaccine. These vaccines are experimental. They're not approved medical treatments. Like, that cannot possibly be legal. You've got, like, this strong arm culture going on here. And it's just so terrifying that we just have to keep, it's no longer this, if we just ignore it, it'll go away. Because I think that was a big thing that was happening with people in the center, or people who really didn't, who weren't firmly on either side, right? They were just kind of like, well, this is just another thing that happens and it'll go away if we don't address it. No, it's so insidious that it just, you have to address it. You have to call it out. You have, like, and they can't get us all if we all say something. They can't get everybody. And that's the thing that I think the majority of people are starting to realize. That the more we speak out logically and calmly about things, they can't get us all. And the more they overreact and try to get us all, the more they prove our point. And I know that it's tempting to give as good as you're getting, but you can't feed into the mental disorder. You can't. You just have to be like, yeah, you're crazy, and we're gonna keep doing us, and eventually, hopefully, the world will, I'm hoping that survival of the fittest will eventually work, and the craziness, the crazy people will inevitably be evolved out, because this is, oh, I think Skep might be backstage. Oh, he just got home. Okay. Monsieur Skep was out and about. He'll be coming in a minute. So yeah, it's just so frustrating that, and because you don't think that you're gonna get strong armed, but right now is our chance. If, as the frog in the boiling pot of water, it is our last best chance to jump out of that pot before they slam that lid down. And I think we're all pretty much collectively ready to take a jump out of that boiling pot of water before that big lid comes hammering down. I don't think I think there's more people that are coming around to and understanding what's going on that aren't just on the internet that are starting to go, no. Hello, Skep.
How are you doing this morning?
I'm good. How are you?
A little frazzled, but I made it back. I was driving like a maniac getting back. I was had to get the car fixed. I told you about my wife's Brenda's mishap yesterday, right?
No, you didn't.
Okay, so my day yesterday was a lot of running around, and I got it all done with driving the kid to the special school and getting all the other chores done. I get home, I'm just about to put my feet up for the day and call it a day. And my wife calls me and says, I hit something in the road and I broke the car.
Oh.
And I went, okay. So I head down there, making a long story, and it's a long story short. We get the donuts on the car, and I'm following her home. Actually, somebody stopped it and helped her put the donut on. So I get there just as they're wrapping up, and so I follow her back home. So today I've got her car, she's got my car, and I still had to drive the kid, 25 miles
on a donut
on a freeway where people, if you're not going 80 miles an hour, you're going to get hit. Yeah. And so we can only go 40 miles an hour. So we got to do that this morning. And then I had to take it over and get the tire and the wheel repaired. So I sat there fuming while that was going on, and there were still trouble lights and caution lights on. So I had to take it to another car repair place and get some other work done. And they finished that, and I just now got home. So I've been going at this since about 3:40 this morning.
Oh my God.
And so yeah, I'm in a just terrific state of mind for this stream. But how have you been? How's your day been going? Is it less eventful? I hope.
I've just been ranting about the fact that the governments in power cannot possibly expect this many angry people to fall in line.
Okay. With what? With
everything that's going on.
Just all the nonsense.
With all the nonsense, yeah.
Yeah.
There are too many people that are asking too many logical questions and not getting any answers that are getting fed up. And there is a certain point where even if you're in power, you can't control that many pissed off people.
Well, does Canada have a like if a whole bunch of us get all pissed off and we're pissed off enough, we get together and we go to the Prime Minister's house and we take him out into the yard and hang him? I mean, is there anything like that where you can convene and kill the guy? Or do you still have to use elections and stuff?
We do. We technically would have to use elections.
Technically, would have to use elections. So there's no immediately.
However, if things keep going the way they're going,
some Canadian patriot's going to stand up and get it done. But all kidding aside, you really are bound by your electoral system as we are.
Yeah.
So other than having impromptu rallies that people get together and reaffirm each other's lack of satisfaction with the current situation, and with it, are there enough people? Are there enough people who feel that way in Canada to really change anything?
I honestly think there are.
And what are their principles of disagreement? What are the things they disagree about the most?
Right now, it is the locking down of everything small business.
You think they've done a bridge too far there?
Yeah. Because
How's the vaccination going in Canada? You know, I have not paid attention to that up there at
we're
all.
still not doing very well.
Okay, so
with our
you're not
vaccines.
vaccinated, and you really have a population that mostly has not had this. So that means you are vulnerable. That's the problem. The good news is that the survival rate for having this and being below the age of 50 is 99.999%. I think it's 3 nines. It might be 4 nines. I mean, it's just, you know, the deaths are in hundredths of a percent or tenths of a percent, maybe most often in hundredths of a percent. That means 1 in 100,000 cases
Yeah.
is going to die.
Yeah.
Which that's going to happen with people getting out of bed and going to work in the morning. You know, it is for statistically, you'll, you know, I don't know what your chances of just dying for some random reason in Canada are, but I would bet that they are in the
You're probably more likely
1 in half a million.
I was gonna say you're probably more likely to fall into a Great Lake and drown.
Right. Yeah.
Than you are to
exactly.
die of COVID.
Be attacked by a polar bear or
Yeah.
you know an SJW.
Fall through the ice and die. You know,
Yeah.
like just
be crushed in the subway by a land whale. You know, that's a real hazard in parts of the United States. Anyway, so so people are just about at the snapping point in Canada. Is it changing their personalities?
Yeah, people are getting, and that's why I was saying last night on Minions. People, this is starting to affect people's mental health in the long term. Like we've already seen spikes in suicides.
Yeah.
We've already seen spikes in drug overdoses.
Yeah.
But we're starting to see, like, you're in people's actions and people's just attitude, the long-term effect of being isolated from other people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, there are some people with families, but you can only, but seeing the same people over and over again.
Canada's an interesting place because what I got from the time that I spent there, and admittedly, you know, the only places I've been and spent any time in Canada are Vancouver, Victoria, and Kelowna. So, you know, I'm just strictly Western Canada. I don't know anything about Eastern Canada. I've been to Montreal once.
Yeah.
I got the feeling that they are social, they're friendly.
Yes.
They like to clump together.
Yeah.
They are heavily normative, meaning that they are secure in their interactions with one another because there is certain standards of behavior they think they can reasonably expect from one another. So there's a natural friendliness and expectation of talking and acting a certain way.
Yes.
If that makes any sense.
Yes.
Whereas, you know, Americans are not that way. Generally, we tend to be very gregarious, but we also tend to not have those norms and expectations at all, basically. And that, I think that's almost been our downfall, is that
Here in Canada, it's very normal to walk down the sidewalk, and if you see an oncoming stranger, go, "Good morning, how are you?"
yes, exactly.
It's
And
very normal here. It's
that's typical in the southern United States, but it just does not happen in the north and west and
yeah,
far western United States.
yeah. It's
Uh,
you walk by somebody on the sidewalk. Hello, nice
yeah.
day. Oh yes, it is. You know, like it's just very we're very social up here.
Hmm.
Um, and it's very hard. Like you people are just and there's nobody's getting any concrete answers. Like if people were getting concrete answers to their questions, people would
Hmm.
probably be more likely to go, okay, yeah, okay, this sucks, but fine.
You know, that's I've never seen Canada in that state. When I was, particularly when I was in Kelowna, which is a place I spent close to 2 months, and you really get to know you get to know people a little bit, and I know exactly what you're talking about. You would walk down the street, and people would say hello, good
Yeah.
morning, you know, how's it going, eh?
Mm,
You know, the cheery little Canadian voices, little
mm,
happy polar bears going about their business. All it was February, so everybody's all bundled up. That's the other thing, was everybody was all bundled up with clothes, and they still did that.
yeah.
Americans, when they put on warm clothes, they shut up.
Yep.
They won't talk, and there have actually been studies done about that, and about putting on your little building and staying inside your building. Um, but I um, I would imagine that the Canadian people, once they get moving, it's like a glacier. It's irresistible and it's utterly mighty.
Yep.
That you to try and stop it is like resisting, like a river of ice,
Yeah.
a giant river of ice that will just affect whatever change it's determined to affect,
Yeah. It
and
you
they will.
once the Canadian people are decided on something, that's the yeah.
I wonder what will happen if Canada has an election and there is just gross fraud on the part of Trudeau's party, and uh, the votes come out and say, well, Trudeau's party wins again. Too bad, conservatives. Better luck next time. If a great majority of Canada says, hey, wait a minute, we didn't vote that way, I wonder what they will do. What can they do? How will that make you feel? Because that's the way America feels right now.
I wouldn't be well. First of all, I would be cynically unsurprised,
Yeah,
and then I would be disappointed.
yeah.
Um, and like I said, I am predicting unfortunately, some form of violent revolution in both countries at some point.
Really, even in Canada, because I don't think that's a stretch at all in the United States. I think violent confrontation is probably baked in now.
Well, if you look at Canada's history, like we like to pretend here in Canada, because unfortunately there is a Canadian superiority complex when it comes to the states. We like to pretend up here that we have never had any sort of violent revolution or
Right. You're
violent
above all
anything.
that.
We're yeah, no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
we
I've read history too.
yeah,
I know
we
you're not.
we have had several rebellions
Hmm?
um against even Louis Riel being one of the main people who in in history's eyes is deemed a traitor because he was fighting for, I guess, for Métis rights against the government. Um,
Let's see, what year was that? Was that the
1880 shit? What year? 18. It was the 1880s. I know that.
because in 1837,
Yep, the 1837 rebellions. Yep,
yes,
that's
the
another one.
rebellions of 1837, the Battle of Saint Eustache
Yep.
in Lower Canada, the rebellions of 1837 1838 were two armed uprisings that took place in Lower and Upper Canada in 1837 and 1838. Both rebellions were motivated by frustrations with political reform. Key shared goal was responsible government, which was eventually achieved in the incident's aftermath. So at least they bore fruit. The rebellions led directly to Lord Durham's report on the affairs of British North America and to the Act of Union in 1840, which reformed the British provinces into a unitary system and eventually led to the British North America Act of 1867, which created the modern Canadian Federation and the modern government, really. So
we have had revolutions that have affected big change.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been a couple hundred years.
Yeah.
Revolutions kind of like other things that humans do, kind of have a cycle. If you think about it.
Yeah.
There's like if you look at the Dark Ages, and then there was the Renaissance and the Reformation, which was incredibly full of upheaval. And then you had a period of that, and then you had the Industrial Revolution, which was again huge. It wasn't violent. Well, like it wasn't a violent revolution, but again, it was a revolution, and it was huge, right? And if you look at individual countries, you'll see that there are times of I guess you would say peace, and then you will see times of the people getting just fed the fuck up with their political system.
What was the deal where there was a Republic of Canada formed on an island in the Niagara River? Have you ever heard that story?
No.
There was something like that, and I don't remember what it was. I remember it from a American history, North American history course I took, and it was a weird thing. It had to do with. Oh, here it is. Here it is. There was a guy named Mackenzie involved, and Mackenzie established a short-lived Republic of Canada on Navy Island in the Niagara River. This is what I'm thinking of, but withdrew from the armed conflict soon thereafter. So yeah, they this was the Hunters Lodge, the Frere Chasseurs, which they organized a convention in Cleveland in September of 1838 to declare another Republic of Lower Canada. So they were really trying to split Canada, evidently.
Yeah.
The constitutions of Upper and Lower Canada differed greatly, but they shared a basis on the principle of mixed monarchy, a balance of monarchy, aristocracy, and democracy. The colonies, however, lacked the aristocratic element and found their non-elective legislative councils dominated by local oligarchies that controlled local trade and the institutions of state and religion. Which, how is that different from now? But anyway, in Lower Canada, they were known as the Chateau Clique.
Yep.
And in Upper Canada, they were known as the Family Compact. Both office-holding oligarchies were affiliated with more broad-based Tory parties and opposed by a reform opposition that demanded a radically more democratic government than existed in each colony. So, as ever, it was the Freedom Party versus the Authority Party.
Yep.
The interesting thing is that I'm old enough to remember when the Freedom Party were the Democrats in the United States, for example, and the Authority Party were the Republicans. Now the Authority Party in the United States is the Democrats, and the Freedom Party is the Republicans. Are you having a similar switch in Canada?
We kind of are. We've got the Liberals and the NDP making crazy proclamations and wanting to enact things that are becoming much more communist and socialist than social democrat.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is a difference. And we've got the conservatives who are where the liberals used to be.
It's the way I think of Canada's polity, the part of the country that is involved in politics and votes and political elections. I think of them as being mostly pretty conservative. When I say conservative, what I mean is if the house is not on fire, they will vote to return the people who are in office back into office.
Yes.
And if the house is on fire, on the other hand, they absolutely will turn on them.
Yes.
So I was mystified when Trudeau won the election last time because the house was on fire. And there's a perception, certainly in the United States, that Canada thinks the house is on fire. Is that incorrect, or are there just so many people who just say, nah, it'll be okay, just send him back?
I think that's what was happening last time.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
And do you think that still is the situation now?
Unfortunately, there's the way that our first past the post system works.
Yes.
Is that we have to vote for the riding, not the person.
Right.
Or the person in the riding.
In the riding.
Not the person.
Not the person overall. Right.
And the other problem is that.
You want to explain first past the post
to everybody? First past the post is the party with the most votes wins, not the person with the most votes. So if you have a whole bunch of good people in a party, that party will win the whole thing, and then that party can put any asshole in that party. Yeah, that party has to. The party elects a leader, the prime minister, right? Not us. Yeah. So the leader of whatever party that wins the election, right, is the prime minister. So now, in theory, since they do elect the prime minister, I mean, they actually vote. They actually get together and vote and say Trudeau's going to be the prime minister. They have what's called a convention. Right. Yes, exactly. It will either be the Liberal Party convention or the Conservative Party convention or the New Democratic Party convention. And they will get together over a weekend and they will have like nominations of people, and they'll do like rounds and rounds of voting. With backroom deals and guys chomping cigars, and it's just hideous. It's fucking disgusting. People actually offering their souls for sale on the floor of the convention. You know, anybody need a soul? I've got a soul over here. People selling their souls for less than Bart did. You know, exactly. Bart at least got $5 out of the deal. These guys are like, I'll give you this soul for that's a nice pen. Can I have that pen? Exactly. Or just vote this way on this one issue, and I'll give you my soul. Yeah. Okay. So and see, that's one of the strengths of parliamentary forms of government, in my opinion, is
that kind of conservative nature where you return consistent leaders. I mean, if people, the people get to vote for what they think of as a philosophy of government,
Yeah.
as opposed to individuals. I mean, at least in theory, it's supposed to work that way, but it kind of does. It kind of does. And so they look at both. They look at the conservatives. They look at the liberals, and they say, "Okay, I want this style of government."
Yeah.
But at some point, I have to believe that Canada is going to say, you know what, these guys have just failed us too many times, and there's no way we're going to.
Uh-oh, you're muted. How did you get muted?
That was
There you go.
interesting.
That was interesting.
Probably a little bit of static electricity. Anyway,
No,
Lindy point I was making is the true believers, if they manipulate the election, if they mismanage the election and steal votes, fake votes, do whatever it takes to win at any cost because they believe so strongly that a conservative victory would just be disaster and would be, would hurt and cripple too many good people and so forth. I mean, that's what animates these people, and that's what animates these people we make fun of. The people who just all day.
Yeah.
In the United States, if they do that, I really think things could really come apart in Canada because you don't have as many people to get mad as we do. And a very significant part of your population, I think, would be involved. If they think they've been cheated, they will fucking pick up their guns and show up.
And the thing is that Trudeau knows this, which is why he's trying to put all the bans on everything.
Right. Has he gotten his gun buyback yet?
But randomly, I'm seeing that, or I see that this is the problem in Canada, is that there's an awful lot of land to lose your gun in.
Yeah. It is kind of a big honking country.
I don't know. My gun just kind of grew legs and walked off, don't you know?
Yeah. It's, well, the gun, the last time I seen it was up Inuit way.
It was going down to the bottom of the lake for some reason. I don't know why.
Over by Hudson Bay, somewhere. Yeah.
All of a sudden, they show up. Oh, look, we found our guns.
Yeah. We found it. Good news. We found the guns.
And we're not here to give them to you.
Yeah. Well, in the manner of speaking, part of them.
Like, this is
high-speed delivery.
This is not going to be a good,
It's not going to be a good meeting.
I was walking through Pinkala goes, I was walking through a swamp. I don't remember the swamp, but it just fell in the swamp.
Yeah, exactly. It's out there somewhere in the swamp. You'll have to find it yourself. I wish you the very best, though. That's what's going to happen in the United States if they try a mandatory gun buyback. Joe Biden is trying to do an executive order mandatory gun buyback, Australia style. That is his objective, and he thinks he doesn't realize that's his objective because he just plays with the colorful bits of string they give him to play with.
That's his objective.
They don't even bother. I actually think they don't even bother to tell him that anymore.
No, probably not. Here's your speech, Joe.
He's kept on the outside, the periphery of issues. He realizes that he does realize that his role in this is just to be a figurehead.
Yeah.
And that the grown-ups, the adults are in charge of this, and they're probably saying things to him. Hey, Joe, you've earned this. Enjoy the ride, my brother. We'll take care of the details, and we'll be true to the values you've always espoused. What values are those? Don't worry, Joe. We'll take care of your legacy. And they are going to take care of his legacy. His legacy is going to be as a thoughtless, reactive old man who is making mistake after mistake after mistake. Just to, can we go down the spur hole just for a minute?
Sure.
He's made one huge mistake, and he's made one small mistake. The huge mistake that he made was caving to the demands of the crazy people, the AOCs, about what to do at the border. Come on in. We'll just fill up these. Well, they're not camps anymore because Trump's not in charge. So we'll call them processing facilities. And he actually does call them processing facilities. And it's still kids in cages. In fact, there are more kids in cages than there ever were under Trump. You'll never find that in the press. There's almost 3 times as many kids in cages down there as there were when.
And there
And the
probably
reason
are actually kids in cages now.
they really truly are. I've seen this. Ted Cruz smuggled out pictures that he took, when he went down to inspect them. And that's one thing about the United States is if a senator in the United States Senate says, I'm going to go down and inspect this, and he starts taking pictures, you're not going to stop him.
No,
you will not be able to stop him, especially Ted Cruz in his own state of Texas.
Yeah.
Not going to happen. Just is not going to happen. So he took pictures with an aide in front of him. Please don't dox these people. Please don't hurt them, Senator Cruz. Please respect them. And Cruz is like, fuck off and shut up. I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to show people the conditions that, you hated and you were happy to show. When Donald Trump was president, well, sauce for the goose is sauce for the gander.
Yep.
And so he illustrated to the world. Of course, CNN, we're not going to show that because we only show that when Donald Trump is president.
Yeah.
They did show it when Donald Trump was, and they're unembarrassed about their own hypocrisy because to them it serves a higher purpose. Okay, so that's the first mistake that Joe Biden has made. He's got a huge problem now that he didn't have to have. This is an own goal, an unforced error, that he didn't have to have all this you down there, but he did it. He sure did. And so now he gets to sort through that, and every day it just looks worse and worse and festers worse and worse. And yesterday, he actually said, we're going to have to build some kind of barrier keep the people out. I know. And of course the right just went absolutely bonkers. So this is going to be the gift that keeps on giving. He is in a quagmire. He is in quicksand and he cannot get out. So that's his big error. The little error that he made was climbing on the bandwagon with the let's ban commercial activity in Georgia because they're discriminating against the voters. So what does he do? He moves the game from Atlanta to Denver. Now, Colorado, Denver is the capital of Colorado. Colorado has actually fewer advanced voting days, 15, than Georgia, 17. Okay, so things are actually more repressive in Colorado for voters than they are in Georgia by the Democrats' own standard. Yeah. This was a tremendous oversight. I mean, for them to make this kind of a mistake, that's another unforced error. They didn't have to do that. They felt like we've got to leave Georgia and leave in a huff. And, they thought, well, the American voter will never be aware that Colorado is actually slightly worse than Georgia, as far as these absurd criteria we've set up for what constitutes harassing voters. And so, but son of a gun, that darn internet thingy, got the word out there, and now America is aware of it. And once again, Biden looks hapless, hopeless, and helpless. A stupid, confused, befuddled old man. I know this is ironic, me saying those words, but a stupid, confused, befuddled old man who has no real plan to do anything and no idea how to address, much less solve, just to address intelligently any of these problems. And all he's doing is reacting to the crisis of the day. He's fighting fires and coming up with bad ideas. And now his new bad idea is the gun buyback by executive order.
Yeah.
Which will that will get tested so fast in the Supreme Court, your head will actually spin like Linda Blair's in The Exorcist, and it will spin all the way around. And by the time it finishes its circuit, they will have said that is obviously unconstitutional. You cannot take, it's such a direct contravention of the Second Amendment. You can in no way do that. And so the other thing that he has to do, and he's about to make two more errors, he's going to pack the court.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's going to put like either four or six more justices on the court.
Good
and
God.
They will all be liberal law school professors. Okay, of the not of the Sotomayor stripe. They'll be more like Elena Kagan. They'll actually be competent. Many of them will actually be competent. Some will be, obvious extra equal opportunity hires, but most of them will be, legitimate, really, really smart and extremely radically liberal people. And so that's what the court will be populated with, and that will get rid of the any conservative output that the court might have. The Roberts Court will be dead at that point. So he's going to do that. And then the second thing he's going to do, and this is really unforgivable. If you want to get somebody excited about this, talk to Prospero. She goes absolutely ballistic when you bring this up, and it's glorious because she's a glorious person. But also she's glorious when she goes ballistic about this, and that is she's going to make Washington, D.C. a state. And that is such a bad idea. It'll let me count the ways. The idea for Washington to be a state is based on the supposed we are taxed, but we are not represented. So it's taxation without representation. And the way that DC was constructed, it basically took land from Virginia and land from Maryland. And then it also had and it declared a neutral district. Well, Virginia wanted its land back, and that's why Washington D.C. is not a perfect square, because Virginia was given its land back.
Yeah.
But Maryland said, now you can keep the land, and we're good, and just make it a free federal district. Well, the reason that it's a free federal district and has no representation is so that it will remain, theoretically, neutral in political questions, so that, it won't be giving favor to Maryland, for example. Let's say that the District of Columbia was in Maryland. They would be tempted to help Maryland out. Maryland politicians would, get all the best stuff, basically, and get the most money, and so forth and so on. There are a lot of reasons that would happen.
Yeah.
So they said we have to have a neutral place in the country that is not owned, not part of any state. And Washington, D.C. has served that purpose perfectly. But the Democratic Party wants so badly to have two more Democrat senators, to, just nuke the Republicans' chances completely, that they're blindly going to try and ram this through. So that'll be interesting to watch the political horse trading there. And the other thing is that the Republicans are not extremely well led either. They're led by in the uh, Senate by Mitch McConnell, who is a defensive old uh, guy who he hasn't had many new thoughts in a long time. He is principally scared of making a mistake. I would
Right.
that's how I would describe his philosophy of governance. And so those are anyway. Those are just some thoughts. I don't know why I got on this rant about politics today, Blind Press. I think it's just driving all over the Texas prairie in a broken car. It just has made me into a crazy man.
Well, this is just, there's so much that's going on that's driving even people who aren't immersed in this like we are.
Yeah.
Online.
Isn't that interesting how many people are interested in this?
People who 5 years ago when we were looking at this going, this is gonna get bad.
Yeah.
And people were like, you internet people, you crazy conspiracy internet people.
Right.
You have no idea what you're talking
Go
about.
back to your memes.
Yeah.
Foolish little man.
And now they're going, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a second.
Those guys may have actually known something. Who knew? Yeah. So yeah, and there we are. It's yeah, it's a difficult situation. It breaks my heart because we're spending a lot of effort and time and political capital and money.
Yeah.
And we're also spending a lot of opportunity. Opportunity cost is a thing. And opportunity cost is what you could have done instead of doing what you did.
Yeah.
And when you have as much opportunity cost baked into a lot of the stuff as we do, and we have had to forego a lot of good stuff, and that is absolutely tragic. In foregoing that stuff, we have cost people, in some cases, their lives.
Mm-hmm.
We've cost them their lives, and that never had to happen. It really is just annoying as hell. It's actually, if you really want to know the truth. So anyway, the upshot of all this is that we have a much more engaged polity, than we have ever had in the United States, and that's kind of cool. Maybe not ever had, because I would say during Vietnam, people were very, very engaged.
And maybe in World War II as well.
Yeah, in World War II, it was more like the country was just completely united. They were completely and utterly united.
I'm listening to old shadow programs.
Are you really? Okay.
And listening to the radio commercials, it's kind of making me sad, because it's like, what happened to that national pride? Like, what is wrong? Like, now you're racist if you're that, if you feel that way. Now you're a nationalist. Now you're a right-wing Nazi. If you have that type of patriotism and pride and wanting to stick together, like, the amount of times the radio announcer says, "Remember, friends, we're all in this together."
Yes, and it feels good to hear that, doesn't it? It makes you. It kind of makes you happy. You kind of go, "Yeah, let's do that again." And you say, "Why can't we do that again? What keeps us from doing that
what's
again?
Wrong with being in this together? What's wrong with being proud of your country? You
Yes.
don't have to be proud of your country to be, like, you don't have to be a crazy person to be proud of your country.
And I hate that people sell it that way. And you're right that so many people think that if you show outward patriotic feelings toward your country, you're either a quaint old fool. I get that a lot, by the way. Um, or you are somebody who is potentially dangerous.
Yeah.
You're somebody who wants to take the democratic institutions and throw them in the trash can, throw individual liberties in the trash can, blah, 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 strong letter follow. And nothing could be farther from the truth. And they say, well, fascists never know they're fascists. They think they're on the side of the angels. And you say that back to them, well, yeah, you too. Look what you're doing. And as always, I find that the answers are in that difficult middle part where you sit down with somebody who really disagrees with a recommendation you've just made. And you say to them, you know what? I want to understand you. I'm not going to try and fight you. I'm not going to try and hit you with a gotcha moment. I'm not going to meme you. I'm not going to make fun of you. I just want to understand why you feel the way you feel, why your assumptions are what they are, and why do you think the mechanisms upon which you base your judgment and your preference, why do they work the way that they seem to work in your mind? And then I would like you to show me the same curiosity. And if we share those with each other and really break down what we feel and why we feel that way to each other and understand each other and say, okay, well, here's where I different, you assume that blah, blah, blah is always this way. And here, I don't think that's true. Here's my evidence for believing that. Here's the stuff that convinces me. What convinces you that it's different? Maybe we can address the underlying differences that lead us to these different conclusions instead of just hitting each other over the head. Because that's where we are now, is we're at the point where we're just hitting each other over the head, hating each other. And when we don't agree, when the other person says something that pisses us off, we react badly and throw a meme at them and say, what a lunatic, what a doofus you are, what a window licker you are for wanting this way.
Yeah.
It will be a long and pretty difficult process, but it really is the most productive way forward for us.
I agree.
Who's going to make that step? Who will bell the cat? Who will put the bell on the cat? Remember the story of the mice and putting the bell on the cat. We can, the cat is killing us. What can we do? Well, if the cat had a bell around its neck, we would hear the bell and it would warn us and we could stay safe. Okay, who's going to put the bell around the cat? Somebody has to put the bell around the cat. Somebody has to do the difficult thing here. I'm willing to do that, but you have to have cooperation from the other side too, because you both have to talk and you both have to listen to the other side, and you both have to develop sympathy for one another and understanding for each other truly as human beings. If you don't do that, we'll never make any progress in coming to conclusions that serve everybody's interest.
Exactly.
So there.
Wise words from Skep Talk.
Windy words from a windy man. A man who is tired of driving.
A man who's tired of driving.
A man who is just tired. A man
who should take a nap.
Yeah, probably. I think that's in my future. I've got to get the house cleaned up, but other than that, yeah, I think I'll flop for a while, but then I only have another hour after. I probably can get the house cleaned up, and at the end of that, I'll probably have 30 to 45 minutes before I have to go drive another 25 miles and pick up Zach again.
Oh, God.
Now, the good news is we think this is going to be over at the end of this week. So all my trials, Lord, soon be over. And I now have two beautiful bruises, one on each arm where they drew blood yesterday because I went to Conan the phlebotomist. And, they took the first stick and took blood, right, and filled up those vials with blood. And so I go up, see my doctor, and the doctor says, "Oh, we've got to draw blood for a PSA." They didn't draw blood for a PSA, and I just went, "Really?" And she said, "You're going to have to go back down and get stuck again. Sorry." And so, the VA doing its thing. We don't draw blood once; we do it twice because we just do.
Because we like to.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
actually had my blood drawn once
Yeah.
by a woman, a very Eastern European woman. It was very amusing
Oh, yeah.
because she sounded literally like a female Dracula.
Oh, that's funny.
I was.
I want you to hold a fist. So
Yes,
yeah.
please come here. Please hold your fist.
Delightful to see you, darling.
Will I put the arm? Will I put the band on
Yeah,
your
the
arm?
cuff on the arm and squeeze the blood vessels into fullness. So I can puncture them with my teeth. I mean, needle. I'm using
It
needle.
was so funny. It was like Jesus Christ.
Just look, if you're thirsty, just help yourself to a little slurp. That's fine with me. So
Well,
anyway,
guys, you've whiled away an hour with us.
yes, and I'm glad I did get back in time
Me
to
too.
at least join for most of the stream today. It's been an adventure, and thanks everybody for hanging in there and listening to us and being a part of this stream and not giving up on Skep Talk. He really does want to stream with his old buddy Blind Press, and it's just been a challenge here recently. Oh, one quick thing. Garden update: the potatoes and beans and peas all have sprouted, and it looks like the carrots are going to come in this week too. So we will have garden updates as we are we've broadened the spectrum basically. So we grew too many beans last year. We took out not 80, but we took out 2/3 of the beans and replaced them with 2 big long rows of corn.
Ooh.
And that's another thing. The corn just sprouted.
Nice.
And yeah. So and some peppers and more peppers than we grew last year, and different kinds of peppers. And also she put in and we're going into the English peas business like you read about. So anyway, it exciting things if you're into horticulture and farming on a micro scale. This is our this is our victory farm. This is what will keep us alive after the apocalypse. I mean, we literally, that's the other thing, is we are growing our garden from seed the seed we harvested last year. So this is not commercial seed anymore. Yeah, this is stuff that our own little piece of land produced. And we're also using a larger area this year. So we'll actually be able to let a little part of it be fallow every year. And so, regain the nitrates from the rain and so forth. So we might be vegetarians, but at least we'll be that. We'll have food. And
there you go.
That'll be cool. So anyway, that is the view from here from Texas. Thanks for having me on. It's been so great. Always great hanging with you. And for those who want to follow me on Twitter, I am at Skeptic Alpha. That's SKEPTICALFA. And that's my principal output. I have a YouTube channel, and I post a video about once every 2 years. So, and that's literally true.
And I have my link tree, which is in the description of the stream. You can go and find all of the ways to support the channel, and share the channel far and wide, because I'm only 51 subs away from 1,000.
Oh, and I'm wearing my coffee stream t-shirt, as I always do when we stream.
Nice.
I even wear it. It's my Tuesday shirt. I wore it last night and washed it this morning so that I could wear it on the stream, and
That's
I
awesome.
just put it on just for the stream. So
that's awesome.
Anyway, thanks everybody for coming out, and thank you, Blind Press, for having me.
Well, thank you for being here, and thanks for watching, guys. And remember, catch a Beat the Blind Girl stream tomorrow at 1, and Skep and I will be on Prospero's version of Minions of the Zoo tomorrow night at
Sure will.
11:30 p.m. Eastern. So I will catch you then, guys. Have a great day.
Bye, everybody.